Sometimes as companies, we need to have hard conversations. I 100% plan on stuttering through this. I've done a lot of research. I've taken a lot of time to work through this, and I accept that I still don't have the answers. And I'm not going to have the answers until I have the right people in these companies that are willing to help me get us past the barriers that we currently have. So I want to talk about some words that are finally being brought to the table. I want to talk about diversity. I want to talk about inclusion, and I want to talk about equality. I'm going to hit equality first because that's not always been something that we've talked about in our companies. I don't find it to be the biggest thing, but I do want to hit it just really quick on the fact that we have to start paying people a livable wage and treating them equally based on their goals and where they're going with clear conversations. That's bare minimum. That's not even being a better boss. That's not even being a better business. That has to be bare minimum and where we start. So that's my 2 bits on equality. Inclusion has actually been fairly easy. Being a lesbian business owner in Southern Illinois, being hard of hearing, being a lot of things that say that I shouldn't be able to do it, I'm a little sensitive to inclusion and making sure that when you walk through my door, you feel open and welcomed and affirmed in all the ways. Like, I want to tear up because if you ever feel any other way, I need to know. Now, we often use the phrase that we are welcoming to everyone, but we're not for everyone. We don't expect that you're always going to like us only because we may not be your tribe. That's not what I'm referring to here. What I'm referring to here is that we are making sure that chairs are the right size, that no one has to feel uncomfortable when they sit down and have that conversation. I want to make sure that our signage and our words are meaning that if you are hard of hearing, that you still feel included. We currently have teammates that are going through training to be able to learn a baseline of ASL so that we're able to serve a community that often has to walk in and point at a menu because that's their only way of conversing because the rest of the world doesn't pay attention. With inclusion, we have to start talking about our LGBTQ community and our veteran community. There is so much suicide happening in those communities because they don't feel validated, heard, or seen. And being that I'm part of 3 industries that can change that. So if you're watching this, I hope it's because you're on one of my companies and you recognize you have a chance to be a part of that change. So within those areas, when you're serving a cup of coffee, it's not just a cup of coffee. When you're taking care of a haircut for a veteran, be aware that loud noises are definitely a thing. There is research and literature that we can put you through the training for it. There is stuff that we have for LGBTQ and how we talk about pronouns and how we even ask about pronouns that we can put you through training, whether you're yoga, coffee, massage, hair, whatever realm you're a part of, we have the training. Because while we've all learned things and while we all come from different walks of life, I shared that I'm hard of hearing. That doesn't mean I can speak for everybody. Quite frankly, all that means is I have a story. I don't have all the stories. So when dealing with inclusivity, we want to make sure that the person standing in front of us feels validated and heard in the level that they need. So there's always going to be extra training coming from us. If you have it, please give it to me. I'd love to pass it on. And the last part of this, our communities have not been known to be the most diverse. Unfortunately, yoga and hair are some of the most segregated communities. I don't think that that is the fault of the Black community. I think that's the fault of our white community. I don't think we have sought the education at the realm that we need to. I don't think we have looked to find ways to become inclusive in our words, in our menu items, in how we invite people in. We are actively working on that. We are working on making sure that our photos represent those that we want in our room. We are making sure that we are actively recruiting those that we want to be able to hear from so we can serve at that level. The last thing that I ever desire is for someone to tell me that they won't apply or come into my building because they're not sure if they're welcome. This place should be a safe haven no matter what walk of life you come from, no matter what you look like. We want to recognize that your skin tone may give you a very different perspective, and we want to hear it. We want to recognize that if you have a disability, whether seen or not, we want to know that your story is part of what makes our fabric and our culture so much better. We also want you to know that we are willing to have the hard conversations. We're willing to do the research, and we're willing to do anything we can, because this world has to change. What we have happening isn't enough. So I invite you, please join us as we continue working on these changes. Thanks for listening.